Welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Intermacs User Group webinar. It's Wednesday, July 27th. Hard to believe. Summer is almost over. School's starting for some of us pretty soon. So we'll go ahead and get started today, and thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for the Intermacs and Pedimacs User Group webinar today. Today we have members from the Intermacs Data Warehouse, and we'll also go through some STS updates. So in the webinar today, we have John Pennington, who is the Senior Data Manager at the Intermacs Data Warehouse. He helps package up your data sets and helps with the programming and does all sorts of data things for the Intermacs database. We have Maceo Cleget, who also helps, he's a clinical analyst at the Intermacs Data Warehouse. He helps with reports and with the data quality. And we also have Jeannie Ann Love today. She's the Patient Management Director and also helps with regulatory affairs and also with the web-based data entry questions. And Patricia, I left your name off, so sorry. We have Patricia Potter, who's the lead nurse over quality assurance at the Intermacs Data Warehouse. And I know many of y'all have had the pleasure to interact with Patricia, and she's an integral part for the Intermacs and Pedimacs databases. So now we will talk about the AQO. The Intermacs Day will be October 26, 2022. And we have Emily Conrad, who's joining us from STS, and we also have Carol Crone from STS and Leanne Jones from STS, who's also joining us on this webinar today. And thank you for everyone for participating.
Catherine, hi everyone. Yes. This is Emily. I'm just going to give some updates about our meeting. So yeah, we'll go to the next slide, Catherine.
Sure.
So AQO registration is open. It is on the STS website, and we'll go there here in a few minutes to just take a look at what we have out there. Early bird registration pricing is open until Friday, August 26th. So that is about a month out. The pricing is broken up between being an STS member or a non-member, and being a member of STS is individual to yourself. So for our data managers or our coordinators, that would fall under associate membership. So if you are an associate member of the STS, the early bird pricing would be for one track, it's $550, two tracks, $900 for multi-day. So 3 tracks, if you're going to go to every day of the conference, it would be $1,150. And then we do have a virtual pass option. If you're not able to attend in person, it would be $300 for that early bird pricing for an STS member. And then you can see for the early bird pricing non-member, everything goes up by $100. And I want to just mention 1 track, 2 track, multi-day, 3 tracks. That refers to the database that you're attending or the day you're attending. So if you're only going to be at Intermacs and Pedimacs, that would be 1 track. So I just wanted to mention that. And then for the virtual pass, we've gotten some questions about that. The virtual pass, it's the content for all of the days. So I just wanted to mention that as well. All right, you can go to the next slide. So this is kind of the difference between the in-person and then meeting and the virtual pass. So in person, we'll have sessions with live Q&A from our speakers. We'll have on-demand content available prior to the meeting on the virtual platform, so you'll get access to that. We will be recording the in-person sessions, and they'll be available in mid-November for both the in-person and the virtual pass options. At the meeting, we'll have breakfast, lunch, and refreshment breaks. We'll have our vendors there and a networking reception. We'll also have available on the platform, we'll have digital conference materials. So We'll have PowerPoint presentations, any case scenarios, handouts, anything that you would need to review while you're at the conference. It'll be available on our virtual platform. We'll also have e-posters. So we'll vote on our favorite e-poster. Those will be available on the virtual platform as well, but we'll also have a way to view them at the conference too. So, all right, next slide. So these are some of the topics that have been discussed. We will be posting a agenda on the website soon, so you'll be able to see what we have in store. But if you have any questions or you have any case scenarios that you would want to be discussed at the meeting, feel free to submit them at our website. I believe this is the FAQ mailbox link. Feel free to submit those by Friday, August 16th.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Emily.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Emily.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Looking forward to having a really good turnout at AQO this year. And on the same topic, we are actually going to do a poll that just to let us know if I've heard from a few sites, and I believe Patricia has also, of sites not allowing their participants, their staff, to travel still during this time. So we are going to do a poll, and thanks to Carol Crone, who assisted in that poll, we'll go ahead and you can participate in it. So let me get the poll going. Let me launch it. Carol, is this the right poll? Please.
I don't see anything, but it's the AQO 2022 poll.
Yeah.
You have to scroll down to the very bottom and you
I see it. Thanks. Thanks, y'all. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. And can y'all see this?
Yeah, it's coming through, Catherine.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. If everyone can just take time to answer the poll, and then we'll end it and get our results.
I just want to mention that we do have on our website a letter that you can we can generate for you, like a justification letter for attending the meeting. It's addressed to your supervisor, and it's signed by our STS president, Dr. Calhoun. So if you go to the STS website for the meeting, just click on justification letter, and you can fill that out, and we'll get it back to you.
Thanks,
Maybe
Emily.
we can do a walkthrough of where that information is found.
Yes.
Okay,
I
thanks.
can do that. Absolutely. When we get done with the poll, I will do that.
Is anybody having a hard time seeing the poll or answering? I see we only have 35 folks that responded.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, it looks like we have some more people responding.
Yeah.
Suzanne says she's unable to submit.
Make sure you answer both questions. You have to answer the first question is, are you planning to attend AQO 2022? And the choices are yes, in person, yes, virtual only, or no, not able to attend. And then if you're not able to attend, then you have to, if you could select the reason why. At the bottom of not able to attend, there's a NA, I plan to attend AQO in person. So if you selected yes in person for the first question, you should select NA, planning to attend in person, so you can close the poll or get out of the poll to submit.
And Brooke has her hand up. I don't know if she has a question related to the poll. And Suzanne looks like she was able to get it.
Thank-
Yep.
We have 71% right now, 42 out of 59. 42.
Did you want me to unmute Brooke to see if she
Oh.
has a question?
Yeah, I thought she took her hand down, but
Oh, sorry.
no, that's okay. Yeah, if you can unmute her.
Oh,
you
hey,
can see
Brooke.
her, mute her.
Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit that hand up button.
No worries.
My apologies.
Thanks for talking to us, though. We like hearing your voice, you guys' voices.
Sure thing.
Okay, it looks like we have 70% that have participated.
There you go.
71%. Yeah, if everyone can go ahead and participate in the poll, so we can go ahead and end the poll. I think that's it.
Yeah, you might be able to just end it and share the results so the attendees can see the results.
There we go. Can y'all see the results?
Yes, ma'am.
Looks like only 9% in person, virtual only is 47%, and no, not able to attend is 44.
Looks like the most hospitals just aren't reimbursing for travel at this time.
Mm-hmm.
We understand.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing, and then I'll go ahead and take you through the AQO website for the justification letter. Well, we understand about sites not reimbursing. That does happen. We will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and let's see, focus on this. Just while I'm looking for I'm going to go ahead and take us to the STS website so we can go ahead and take you through the where the AQO meeting information is and show you how to get to the justification letter. But I'm going to stop sharing for a second. No. Go ahead. Okay. So we're looking at the Society of Thoracic Surgeons, their website. If you you can search AQO 2022 AQO, and it will take you to the AQO webpage. And then if you just scroll down, you will see request justification letter, and you can just click on that. And then you'll just have to enter some information like your first name, last name, your email, and then some other information regarding your supervisor. And then, like Emily said, it will be signed by the STS president this year, Dr. Calhoun. And then you would just submit it. And then, Emily, do you know how long it takes?
I'd say
For them to-
1 to 2 business days.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No
Perfect.
problem.
So now we'll go ahead and wrap up our announcements. So Intermacs and Pedimacs, we're still allowing the COVID-19 exception. So if your site still is having to do televisits when these surges occur, that occur, that's understandable. You can do the quality of life surveys, maybe done over the phone or by mail. And the follow-up visits, if they're outside of the visit window, just remember to enter the last date of the follow-up date visit into the database. And you have 30 days after the follow-up window due date to enter the data for the COVID-19 exception. Before we move on, just remember to use the Q&A function for your questions and not the chat box. We'll answer as many questions as possible. We encourage your feedback and we want to hear from you. So I think now Patricia Potter is going to review some of the version updates that were just launched last week. And I'll stop sharing, Patricia, so you can go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to go through, we had some updates to both Intermacs and Pedimacs, so I'm just going to run through those for you. So the first update is to both Intermacs and Pedimacs on the exercise function and trail making data form. We added a new option to both the 6-minute walk test and the gait speed. We added the option not done, patient refused to walk. So that is on both the pre-implant exercise function form and the follow-up form on the follow-up exercise function form on the follow-up form for both Intermacs and Pedimacs. And then our next update is also for both Intermacs and Pedimacs on the lab form for plasma-free hemoglobin. We added the option of less than 30. So that was a request from one of the data managers that, what should I enter when it comes back less than 30? So we did add that to the lab form for both Intermacs and Pedimacs. And then the next one is just for Intermacs. This one is on the neurodysfunction form. We added a new subtype of 1G TBI for the traumatic brain injury bleeds from falls and accidents. Prior to adding this, all of the subtypes of bleeds couldn't be caused by an accident or a trauma. So we added this one to capture those bleeds from falls and motor vehicle accidents and such. So there's a new type 1G, and that's just on the neurodysfunction form for just Intermacs. The next one is for just Intermacs as well. This is on the right heart failure AE form. We added other specify as an option. We had heard some feedback from some data managers that when choosing early post-implant right heart failure or death occurring within 30 days, they did have the diagnosis of right heart failure, but they didn't meet any of the clinical findings or manifestations. So we have added the other specify option. So if your patient doesn't meet the ascites or the peripheral edema, renal failure, any of those, you now have the option to add it or enter it by adding the other specify option. So that's on the right heart failure form. And then the next update was also done to the neurodysfunction form. When you choose type 1AH, according to our definitions, you then needed to select a class, either class A or class B for the ischemic stroke with hemorrhagic conversion. And we didn't have those subclasses on here, so those are now added there. And the next update is also to just Intermacs on the respiratory failure form. We updated the series of parent questions, so it is all the same questions. It was just a little bit confusing when entering things. It seemed a little bit redundant, so we just changed the flow of the questions, but all the questions are still the same. And then also to Intermacs, now that we are capturing under the bleeds due to falls and accidents under 1G, we added the wording not caused by accident or trauma to 1F, so that all the falls and accidents and TBIs are under 1G. So that was just a change to 1F, just some wording added. And then the last update is for both Intermacs and Pedimacs. You'll no longer be able to use Internet Explorer to access the database as it's no longer supported. So that's it. If anybody has any questions about any of these, feel free to email me. My email address is pkpotter@uabmc.edu. Feel free to reach out, and a lot of these updates came from data managers emailing us and suggesting these. So if you have any suggestions or see anything on any of the forums that doesn't really seem to be working for you or make sense, feel free to reach out and we can take a look at it as a team and maybe make another update. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Appreciate it.
Patricia, Catherine, for that Nero 1AH, do we have any intention of reaching out for the existing records to try to get that subdata?
Not at this minute, not at this time. The sites always have an option to, but we've never made a requirement when we make a version upgrade for them to retrospectively go back and enter that. Any updated variables or questions, but if sites would like to, then they are more than happy to go back and enter that information. Again, thank you, Patricia, and thank you, John. That was a very helpful question. So as Patricia had given out her contact information, here is also, you may also find it here as my contact information, and you have Patricia's, and then you have the Intermacs FAQ at sts.org for operational questions also. But most frequently, if you email Patricia or myself, we can reply back to you shortly. We also have resources. We have the STS National Database webpage, which I showed you a glimpse of earlier. We have the, where you can also click on the Intermacs and Pedimacs web pages. And also there's a section for where an email address for the reports in case you have any questions regarding any reporting questions, any DQR, missing variables, the dashboard, or even just having issues with your password and login, you can contact the Intermacs reports at uabmc.edu email address, and they'll respond back to you. We also have listed the updated participant contact form in our DQ report validation form, which we went through. I walked you through the steps, how to get to that last week. So I think now we'll go ahead and ask some questions. And again, thanks, Patricia, and you're absolutely right. I think some of those, the upgrade we just did, those additional data fields or additional options, actually I think came from a webinar that we had in the spring. So we do listen and we do take back your concerns or your questions and address them. So thank you. Again, use Q&A for all your questions, and we'll go ahead and get started answering some questions today. The first one is, so if we add less than 30 for plasma-free hemoglobin, will that be considered minor hemolysis because it is greater than 20? Well, Nancy, if they also, so for minor hemolysis, you are correct because it is greater than 20. I think that was specifically for labs that came back with the response of if it was less than 30. So as you know, for hemolysis, for the minor hemolysis, it is a plasma-free hemoglobin value greater than 20, or the serum LDH to 1.5 times the upper limit. And it is in the absence of the clinical symptoms. But you also, it's not just the lab value. I mean, if you're a surgeon, if y'all are thinking it's hemolysis, if your surgeon's thinking, or your medical team, surgical teams thinking that the patient does have hemolysis, but there's other factors into it. But this was strictly to address labs that came back reported less than 30 for plasma-free hemoglobin. And Patricia, if you want to add anything to that, feel free.
Hey, Catherine. No, I didn't have anything to add. I was just going to say exactly what you said. It's not just the plasma-free hemoglobin.
So, okay.
I can
And
take
the
the next one, Catherine, if
Okay.
you want.
Yeah,
When
go ahead.
Yeah, when capturing medications, how do we enter dosage, milligrams, Q day if the diuretic is PRN? So usually what I suggest for this one is if you do have, so on your medication form, to enter the dosage, if you're able to, if it's asked at the follow-up appointment, did they take the PRN medication, the PRN Lasix, the PRN medication? How much did they take, or how often did you take it? And I usually suggest taking an average of what they took. So just if you're able to get that information from the follow-up visit and take an average of what they took over that follow-up time.
Thanks, Patricia. And Nancy, again, how do we capture Lasix drops as a daily med? I know on the, just similar to what Patricia just said, I know on the medication form, we do capture Lasix. And I believe it's the frequency and the dose. Do you know exactly? Let me get the follow-up form.
It's the, it's asking you for the dose. And so I would say, in regards to what I had just said about taking the average of what they were taking for the dose.
Yeah, and then just entering that on the follow-up medication form.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And feel free to go ahead and feel free to use that QA section for your questions and answers. While we're waiting for that, I can give an update on the Intermacs and the Pedimacs dashboard. So I know, as y'all all know, the Intermacs, the interactive dashboard and the updated Kaplan-Meier tool, they will, I know specifically for the dashboard, they'll be doing updates on a quarterly basis. So definitely for all y'all out there that do utilize the dashboard, they will be doing updates to that on a quarterly basis. And if you have any suggestions, then please, you can email the reporting team or you can email Patricia and I, and we will definitely forward that to the programmers. And as far as the PDMax dashboard goes, that will be go live or be launched at AQO this year. So that's very exciting to have that interactive tool available for PDMax. And on the same note, if anyone's wanting training on the dashboard and Kaplan-Meier tool for Intermacs, please email Patricia or I, and we can definitely get you set up with the programmers that have training for that. Looks like we have a couple of more questions. Just to follow up, if not asked regarding average dose for diuretic, do we code unknown and or no for the medications? Thanks.
Yeah, I would say unknown. If you know they did take it, but you just don't know how much, for the loop diuretic question, you can say yes. And for the dosage, you can put unknown. But if it's unknown, if they took the loop diuretic at all during the follow-up window, you can just put unknown.
Right. Thank you. And I believe that's what they were thinking. So thank you, Patricia. I had just mentioned the training for the dashboard and Kaplan Meyer tool earlier. If there's any new users on here and you're interested in receiving training, an overview of the Intermacs database, feel free to contact me, and my email is kholyfield@sts.org, and I'm happy to provide training for new staff. So that's another educational tool you can use. And also we do have videos of the overview training at the Intermacs website.
And also, I just wanted to add, also, we have the YouTube page with all of our previous Intermacs user group webinar and report webinars. And those can be a good tool. And there is a webinar on there where we went over the dashboard and any of the newly updated AEs. So that's a good resource too. And I can put that in the chat box, the link to that. You can review those webinars if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great, Patricia. Thanks. Well, y'all are being quiet today, but hopefully we've answered all your questions. And we'll wait one more minute, see if we have any more questions come in. But thanks for putting that up in the chat board, in the chat room, Patricia. But thanks everyone for joining today. And if you think of any questions, again, feel free to email Patricia or I, and we'll happily answer them.
There's one more question that just came in, Captain.
Thanks. For the comorbidities and the unknown option, if the patient was an emergent case, if we have a complete H&P, do we code no for comorbidities? Do a complete H&P, do we code no? So the patient, I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question. So you're saying it was an emergent case, you do have a complete H&P. So the comorbidity sections, any issues that the patient's having at that time. So if you can, off that H&P, if you find any issues, you know, that are applicable to in the comorbidity section, then you would document it there. But you're asking, is the unknown option if the patient was an emergent case? Well, unknown really for comorbidities would be if you just don't know. If you don't know, for the patient does not have any past history or a currently an issue with the patient at the time. That would be what unknown would stand for regarding that in the comorbidity section. And let's see the next question. For the follow-up forms, if NYHA classification is not documented in the inpatient or office visit notes, can we use the NYHA classification chart to determine the current NYHA class when symptoms are present, or should we select unknown?
I can answer that, Catherine. Yes, you can use, you can use the description and clinical presentation of the patient to classify the patient. It doesn't have to be documented by the physician.
Thanks, Patricia. Okay. Is that going to be it? It looks like it. Nope, one more. I was audited, and I think the NYHA was required by clinician documentation. Well, it actually wasn't. You had to have documentation of where the NYHA came from. So it needs to be like, if you did do at an office visit and you did do an NYHA classification, it just needs to be in the notes. It has to be documented. It doesn't have to be documented like, sure, most of the time it is documented, by the physician or the PA or the NP. But if you classify it, or at the VAD, at the VAD clinic, if they do it at that visit, it just needs to be documented in the notes. If we were audited, when should we expect feedback? Kendra, I believe the audits, they're still in progress. Maybe Emily's still on the webinar.
I would say fall. I would say maybe like September, October. And then what will happen is they will contact you and they'll provide like a preliminary results. You'll have 2 weeks to respond and provide, okay, so maybe there's a discrepancy. You'll be able to provide feedback back to the auditors. They'll go through that with their team, and then they'll provide a final report to STS, and STS will send your final report out to you probably around December of this year. So I know it's kind of a long process, but we are excited to be able to provide kind of like an interim report this year so that you can take a look at your results prior to the end of the year.
Okay, thanks, Emily. I appreciate that. And we do have another question. Device malfunctions for AEs are sometimes hard to code. Is there a tool or training manual source we can refer to? You are correct. Sometimes they are confusing. We're actually working on coming up with kind of a step-by-step tool, kind of a little, check-off sheet. With the updated ARC definitions that we launched last winter in 2021, they did make it more granular, a little more black and white. I would say if you use the user's guide is actually a really good tool that kind of listed out question by question. But we are trying to come up with a little, like a device malfunction, a little hack sheet that we can provide sites that kind of goes along with the user's guide. So that's something we're working on. And the next question is that preliminary audit result process that comes out in the fall applicable to other STS registries, example, adult cardiac?
Yes. That is correct. Adult cardiac, general thoracic, and congenital. Well, congenital is a little different, but if you have questions about the congenital audit, you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thanks, Emily. John, do you have anyone from the Intermacs data warehouse have anything to add to today's webinar before we wrap it up?
No, I think Patricia did a really good job of covering the updates.
Yeah, thanks, Patricia. Yes, thank you. So thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks everyone from UAB, and thanks everyone from STS, and especially thank you to the participants.
Thank you.
Say it again, maybe we'll get another question, but if y'all have think of any questions when we end this webinar, feel free to email Patricia or I. And I hope y'all have a good day, and thanks again to everyone that participated from UAB and STS.
Great call, Catherine. Great job.
Catherine. Thank
Y'all
you.
have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks,
for all your help. Thanks.
No problem. Bye.